This video is sponsored by Word Farm Adventure, a free crossword and word Scrabble game.
There's two of me. I mean, two of us.
There are two Lindsay Lohans in the public mind. The magnetic, relatable, talented actress from beloved movies, and the chastised, dismissed, unreliable party girl from the tabloids. Meanwhile, the real Lindsay Lohan today is something of a mystery, one who left Hollywood for adventures in Europe and Dubai and strives to define herself outside of the paparazzi's eye, while headlines periodically pop up to laugh at something weird she's done and imply she wasted all of her potential.
If you've heard Lindsay Lohan speak in an interview lately, you might have noticed she doesn't sound like she used to.
And they crucified me for it in America.
When The Parent Trap came out in 1998, the world was convinced that newcomer Lindsay Lohan really did have a twin, because her breakout performance playing two long-separated sisters was that impressive.
One of the most talented people I've ever met, period. Forget that she's 11 years old. Then I actually thought there were two.
One of the world's most promising child actresses blossomed into a beautiful young teen star whom the public followed with great anticipation. But by the early 2000s, she'd become a cautionary tale, a symbol of the dangers of child stardom, and one of her generation's much criticized bad female role models. Like her contemporaries Britney Spears and Paris Hilton, she was the target of paparazzi harassment, misogynistic backlash, and constant judgment for choices she made while still a kid. Compelled to repeatedly perform contrition and demonstrate attempts to revitalize her image again and again. Here's our take on the two Lindsay Lohans that have defined her career and why it's time to stop reducing her to one or the other.
I really like just being okay with me.
Like Katie, Lindsay's character in Mean Girls, I love solving puzzles. And that's one reason I'm such a fan of this video's sponsor, Word Farm Adventure. It's such a unique game that combines word puzzles and Scrabble-style missions with landscape building, so I can sharpen my mind and flex my creativity. Check out how I've decorated the villa, complete with touches like the Queen Anne chair, tufted bed, and rosewood bookshelf. I've created kids' rooms that the Parent Trap twins would be proud of, and there are so many other amazing locations to build, like a farm. Every level of this free game is more challenging than the last, making it extra rewarding to play. Plus, the more levels you win, the more tasks you get to complete, and the quicker you get to restore the villa back to its former glory. Word Farm is seriously my ideal escape at the end of the day. So, if you want to challenge both the creative and clever parts of your brain, click the link in our description to download Word Farm Adventure now and get a welcome bonus. Word Farm is free to download and available on Android and iOS. The first Lindsay we met was a talented and promising child model turned Disney star with the intention to have an Oscar by the age of 30. By the age of 18, she was making $7 million a picture, often for playing wholesome girl-next-door roles that made her a star people related to.
Cruel. I meant to say cool and then I started to say great.
Looking back, we can see that her dual celebrity personalities actually began in split personality movie roles that made her a household name, which nearly all came out before she turned 18. The 1998 remake of The Parent Trap turned the young star into a Disney sensation thanks to her performance as separated 11-year-old twins Hallie and Annie, who meet and conspire to bring their parents back together. Annie is the prim and proper child of a London fashion designer, with an English accent that BBC America praised for the actress's age.
I know how to fence and you don't. Or I have class and you don't.
While Hallie is the blunt, rough-around-the-edges American.
I mean, come on, get real.
Some of Lohan's best work comes out when she plays one twin who is pretending to be the other.
My twin? Very funny. Good one, Martin.
In 2003's Freaky Friday and the enduring comedy classic Mean Girls in 2004, she again embodies multiple personalities, playing both a daughter and a mother in a girl's body in Freaky Friday.
Role-playing! Her idea. New therapeutic technique. Switching points of view.
And a naive outcast who transforms into a cool plastic insider in Mean Girls.
I know it may look like I'd become a bitch, but that's only because I was acting like a bitch.
These and other roles, like in Disney's Get a Clue and Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, cemented her power as the sympathetic, good-hearted star. But seeing her on screen as two different people in multiple stories laid the groundwork for us to see her as two real-life personalities, to perceive her as an innocent who was perhaps overly vulnerable to corruption, a wholesome girl who might drastically change as she grew up. Meanwhile, like so many other Disney stars, Lindsay's real life was a far cry from her on-screen one. Unlike other big young starlets of the era who came from established, famous parents, Lindsay's family was unstable, with a reputation for being, according to BuzzFeed, awful, intrusive stage parents that the young starlet had to support, while her father had faced multiple arrests and reportedly had abused her mother in front of her.
The first day of filming Parent Trap in LA, my dad came to see us, and then 2 feds walked in and cuffed him.
Because he had a warrant and he left the state and he wasn't allowed.
Once Lindsay's time at Disney ended, she didn't have anyone to hold her down while she was living on her own. Once Lohan came of age and started hanging with people she later said she shouldn't have been around, the Lindsay the media once cherished was gone.
The new teen queen of the party scene.
Lindsay's reputation was suddenly for being a partier in her group of A-list celebs, regularly crashing clubs and making new friends, as well as enemies.
She talks bad about me all the time.
I'm sorry if she felt offended.
Soon, she became the face of the fate awaiting all child stars subjected to the horrors of Hollywood. And the media and public reacted with an overwhelmingly judgmental attitude to this new Lindsay, who was lumped in with Paris, Britney, and other famous young women of the time, deemed as setting a bad example. Along with a semi-successful music career that played into her club-hopping image, she took on adult roles of women who were imperfect and messy, maybe promiscuous or dealing with addiction, versions of Lindsay no one was ready to see or respect.
I will find all of your boyfriends and I will them stupid.
Meanwhile, she got a reputation on set that was hard to overcome. She was consistently late to work on Georgia Rule. She was sentenced to court-ordered rehab for a total of 6 times between 2006 and 2014. Her legal issues were all over the press, missing court dates, 2 DUIs, failed drug tests, misdemeanor theft, and jail time, all over the course of only 8 years.
Hey, at least she showed up at all, which is more than we can say for most of her court appearances.
Over 15 years, the repeating cycle of bad press, rehabilitation, and on-TV attempts to revamp her persona frequently cast Lindsay as the butt of the joke, implicitly comparing her unfavorably to the world's idea of the old her. Every time she got her act together, she had to come back into the spotlight and fight to redefine the conversation around her career.
I didn't get in this business to be a celebrity on the cover of tabloids. I'm ready to work and I'm responsible and I can be on time, and I've learned from my mistakes.
If she relapsed, the press reminded her it was always inevitable. If she found a new acting or entrepreneurial venture, the public considered it a sad attempt at staying relevant. When she went to prison in 2010 for only 14 days for violating her parole once again, Lindsay says she was disappointed that she couldn't have gotten a chance to serve the full 90-day sentence, and her words about desiring the peace of prison exposed just how lost and trapped she must have been feeling.
Having all the chaos around me that I was so comfortable with, I somewhere inside knew and kind of wanted to go to jail. I think it was just to find some peace.
Looking back at the lyrics of her single Rumors from her debut 2004 album Speak, it's hard not to feel she's simply making reasonable points about why the paparazzi ought to just stop bringing her down and let her live.
Can you please respect my privacy?
As BuzzFeed's Sachi Cool writes, the narrative around Lohan has always been that she squandered a tremendous amount of potential, or that her family f***ed her up before she even had a chance. But there's also the fact that since she was a teenager, she's been under immense public scrutiny, expected to turn a huge profit in that tricky space between Disney teen dream and sex object. Looking back, it's glaring just how toxic and, by today's standards, totally incorrect the Perez Hilton-era media's framing of Lindsay's behavior really was. They taunted her for having an eating disorder, ridiculed her relationship with Samantha Ronson by calling her Leslo, and called her Queen of the Drama for being taken to the hospital after a motorcycle came close to hitting her. A 2013 David Letterman interview with Lindsay that resurfaced in TikTok in recent months encapsulated the position Lindsay was frequently put in. The host makes her cry more than once, belittles her, and refuses to drop the subject of her addiction.
Aren't you supposed to be in rehab now?
We didn't discuss this in the pre-interview.
Feeling scrutinized as a figure of ridicule in front of an audience that's laughing at her, Lindsay goes back and forth between playing along
I thought this was gonna be vodka.
and asserting her humanity.
I wish you'd come out with the tags on your dress, though.
I know, it would have been so funny.
Yeah. We'll do
It's
that
not funny because
do that on Fallon.
it's hurtful towards me.
But no one could pinpoint exactly where Lindsay ended and the performance began. Was she really a wild girl or an addict, or just a teen who'd gotten a little carried away? In honest moments like her Oprah interview, she revealed a reflective, earnest, thoughtful person underneath, but it was only a matter of time until the next scandal hit. The Lindsay we knew and the real Lindsay were never before so far apart. While the early 2000s was quick to pick Lindsay apart, the Lindsay we see today is nearly unrecognizable. She's neither tabloid Lindsay nor Disney Lindsay. Instead, she's a mystery.
So I disappeared.
After the relatable girl and the wild partier, the third phase of Lohan's public identity was absence. As in the late 2010s, she mostly faded from the public eye. Lindsay lives in Dubai to avoid Hollywood press and stress, and appears to be doing all she can to find and define herself outside of the constant scrutiny of a paparazzi camera, working on her sobriety and attempting to move forward and embrace new experiences. But though many have wondered what happened to her, she has frequently come out into the public eye in recent years for talk shows, online interviews, and profiles to support her recent ventures, including starting beauty brands, managing her younger sister's music career, taking roles here and there like in Netflix's Sick Note, showing she can be in on the joke in Lawyer.com ads.
From getting a DUI, let's not pretend like I didn't get one, or two, or three, or some others.
And opening clubs across Greece as featured in her MTV reality show.
It's beautiful, and it's a place for everyone. So I decided to open Lohan Beach House.
The public mainly pays attention to Lohan these days when a headline surfaces about her doing something odd. A viral video will make the rounds showing Lindsay in an awkward spot, whether it be her looking a little embarrassed dancing at her Mykonos beach club or live streaming an interaction with a refugee family accusing them of child trafficking and seemingly trying to take the children.
They're trafficking children. I won't leave until I take you.
Or showcasing a bizarre accent that Lindsay says comes from a mixture of all the languages she knows and is learning, what she wants to call Lindsay Lohan.
They made me seem like Satan.
Perhaps this last one isn't so surprising, as we've seen that, as a child actor, she showed a flexibility with accents.
Hallie, we're totally and completely 100% different.
Meanwhile, she was chastised by one group for tweeting a defense of President Trump, by another for defending Harvey Weinstein during the #MeToo movement, and by another for carrying the Quran.
I find a solace in studying not just the Quran, other religions, just like meditation.
Through this fragmented collection of headlines, the modern portrait of Lindsay is confused. She seems odd because our long-standing expectations of her don't necessarily compute at all with who she actually is right now. In other words, the public does not know who Lindsay Lohan is today. On closer inspection, many of these cartoonish snapshots are ultimately yet more cheap shots at an easy target.
The most bizarre video of 2018 is courtesy of Lindsay Lohan.
Cruising the streets of an unnamed foreign country searching for Syrian refugees in peril.
After Lindsay's strange responses to Weinstein, which she somewhat walked back, Rose McGowan tweeted, "Please go easy on Lindsay Lohan. Being a child actor turned sex symbol twists the brain in ways you can't comprehend." And Lohan revealed on Instagram that her mixed feelings about the Me Too movement stemmed from how little support she received when she was victimized. It was in 2016, only shortly before the #MeToo movement took center stage, that photos were published of Lindsay appearing to be attacked by her fiancé of the time. And as she wrote on Instagram, "Not one person stood up for me.
I've kept quiet for so long, but now I'm scared of what Igor might do to me and to himself."
W Magazine's Stephanie Eckhart writes in the article, "Lindsay Lohan has a point. Why didn't more people care when her ex-fiancé was abusing her? Many seem to write the story off as another example of Lohan's well-documented downward spiral, but none of her eccentricities should have undermined the seriousness of Lohan's public struggle with abuse or led them to be written off as her latest antics." Whatever version of Lindsay we are seeing now is both Lindsays, the talented actor and the hurt tabloid target at once. But really, she's neither. She's a complicated, flawed, sometimes underestimated or excessively ridiculed person who's lived through a lot of messy challenges in the public eye and still seems to be searching for her authentic self.
I have this little 5-minute journal that I've been doing every day, and it starts with a gratitude list.
Looking at Lindsay Lohan's life story and film career is an exercise in humility. It's shocking to look back on just how comfortable media figures felt criticizing, mocking, and dismissing her humanity because of mistakes she made as a very young person. Yet, it can be all too easy for the internet today to leap to similar patterns of sneering and wild theories about her motives. As tempting as it seemingly is to continue to confine her to one box, as we've seen, this is a dehumanizing continuation of the problematic way the starlet has been treated for so long. Lindsay herself reports that she's doing well and looking toward a better future.
What in your life has been serendipitous?
This moment right now.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And it's time to start taking her word as to who Lindsay Lohan really is.
This is me as I am as a person now, and how my life is and how I want to move forward.
This is The Take on your favorite movies, shows, and culture.
Thank you so much for watching and for supporting us.
Please subscribe and never miss a take.